You have to be willing to do what most people won't to have what most people won't. I'm not interested in sugarcoating this one. This is coming from the heart. Hopefully it helps. It might hit people in a real raw way, and that's okay. Knowledge, ideas, and dreams are absolutely worthless without action. They're all smoke, no fire, and in my experience, most people are masters at generating the smoke. They talk, they plan, and research and dream brilliantly. But when it comes to striking the nail on the head, putting the plan into action, they can't get the match to ignite to create that fire. They hesitate, they procrastinate, and ultimately stagnate, going nowhere. I'm Diego, and I talk about things that matter to me. This is one that's as much for myself as it is for you, because I've been guilty of this. All smoke, no fire. Let's just have dreams and not have any action. Back in 2003, 2004, I was young. I was out of college, starting to work. I was working for an aerospace firm as an engineer, and I started listening to all these real estate tapes. Tapes at the time, if I'm dating myself, and learning about investing in real estate and how you could do that and why it was great passive income from a lot of people at the time who were experts in this. I became PhD level in terms of the knowledge. I had consumed so much. Do you know how many properties I bought? 0.0. In fact, I was a paper millionaire, all that knowledge, no implementation. It didn't go anywhere. And at the time, it probably would have been a really good move because I was in Southern California. 2003 to 2008 would have been a skyrocket, and I would have made a lot of money on real estate, assuming I didn't over leverage and do something stupid. But you get the point. That was all smoke, no fire. I was guilty. When it comes to business and life, there's really two paths: action and inaction. Let's break down this simple equation that transformed how I view business and life through this lens. Good idea plus consistent action equals increased chance of success. Brilliant idea plus no action equals zero chance of success. What's better? A good idea with some action, or a brilliant idea with no action? Well, we all know the answer to that. It's the first one. This isn't motivational fluff. It's mathematical certainty. A mediocre business that actually launches will inevitably outperform the perfect business that never gets beyond the planning stage. It has a chance to be a home run, not a guaranteed home run that never even leaves the dugout to come up to bat. A little later on in my entrepreneurial career, I had this idea. I'd just gotten done with the Permaculture Voices conference. I was going to start a beverage business, canned, alcoholic. Don't want to get too deep into what it was, but I planned that thing to the T. I knew what the branding was going to look like. I named it. I had an idea for what the shop was going to be, how I was going to market it. At the end of the day, I didn't do anything with it. Again, it was all this paper planning with no action, all smoke, no fire. I couldn't strike the match. Why I didn't is probably a different story for a different day. But that business, even as great as that idea may have been, or it may have just sucked, either way, it had no chance of success. It never saw the light of day. It never made a single dollar. This isn't that uncommon. There's been a lot of research done on this. Research from the University of Scranton suggests that less than 8% of people actually achieve their goals. That's pretty sad. Only 8 out of 100 people achieve their goals. Hopefully, you're one of the 8. If you're one of the 92, hopefully, videos like this make you one of those precious 8, because 8 is pretty darn low. And it's not because these people don't know enough or don't have good enough ideas, but primarily because they fail to execute consistently on what they already know. They don't do anything. I see this constantly play out in entrepreneurial circles. The most successful business owners that I know aren't necessarily the most innovative, or they don't have some world-changing product. They're the ones that just show up. They take imperfect action instead of waiting around trying to do the perfect thing all the time. Look no further than farmers. They aren't selling something new or world-changing or highly differentiated. In fact, many of them are selling the exact same thing. What separates the ones who succeed from the ones that don't? One big part is doing the work. I can't tell you how many people throughout the last 10 years have approached me with their business idea. Hey, Diego, I want to do this thing. And it's centered around permaculture, agriculture, something along that. And they describe it so vividly. They're so passionate about it. It's as though it existed. And then in their mind, this thing is fully baked and fully exists. Today, then, it never made it out of here. It was in here the whole time. They couldn't take the first step. Why? This is going to be maybe uncomfortable, but it's real. Why don't people take the first step? It's usually not because you need more of something. Usually you don't need more information. You don't need more time. You don't need more resources. You usually don't need more money, or the market isn't ready. These are all smoke screens. They're facade. If we want to be more blunt, they're excuses for the real reasons that you don't actually try. 1, you're afraid to fail publicly. If I talk to you about my dream of this thing that I'm going to do, it sounds effing amazing. Like you're like, whoa, you're awesome, man. Look what you're doing. And you're like, yes, look what I am doing. I'm not really doing anything though. Even though this guy I'm talking to thinks I'm doing it. It's like, this is my plan. And they're like stoked on the plan. But as soon as I hit go and I do it, I actually got to do it. And if I fail, now the guy I told about it, next time I see him, he's like, hey, how did that thing go? And you're like, change the subject. We fail. So it's better to just keep the dream alive. And next time dude comes and talks to me, I could be like, I had to refine the plan. It's even better. And this guy's super stoked. And hey, I never have to be embarrassed. It's all fake. Reason number 2, you're uncomfortable with uncertainty. I get it. I've been there. Going into the unknown of business is like being on a bridge that eventually ends. You don't know where. You're walking forward in complete darkness. Eventually, the floor could drop out, but it might never drop out. You don't know how it's going to work out financially, how it's going to work out for your family, what challenges it's going to bring to you physically, mentally, emotionally. There's just a lot of uncertainty around it. And humans, we don't like uncertainty. We like to be comfortable and certain. That's why we go to our job. We come home at the same time every day. We sit on the same couch, watch the same shows, eat the same snacks. We don't like different stuff. So uncertainty keeps us away. The third reason is you don't want to do difficult things consistently. So I might choose to do something difficult once in a while, but to do it all the time voluntarily when you're not getting paid for it, when you don't want to do it, that becomes extremely challenging. Most people don't want to do it. that's a fact. If most people wanted to do hard things, their life would be tremendously different, but we don't. We always choose the easy path, the easiest routes, the most familiar routes. That difficult path over the mountain that we might get publicly crucified and we might die along it and get bankrupt and maybe get divorced along the way. Whoa, stay away from that. That's all syringes and broken bottles and people with guns. I'm staying out of there. I'm just going to chill over here and play my video game. So people don't like to do hard stuff, so they don't move on. The fourth reason, you don't want it badly enough. It's one thing to have a dream and think, whoa, that's amazing. I mean, there's stuff I dream about that would be amazing. I'd love to have, a 100-acre property that I could ride a rally car around. I've always had that dream and have a pond and stuff. But I don't want it enough to actually make it happen. It's just kind of fun to think about once in a while. Where people get confused and maybe hung up and waste a lot of their life energy is they think that that's what they want, but they don't really want it. If you want something enough, you'll go for it. Look at anything you've wanted in your life. No one told you to do it. You went right after. You reached out and grabbed it. If you didn't want it, I don't want that. It doesn't look tasty. I'm not going to eat it, even if you make me. I'm shutting my mouth. But cookies and cake, ooh, I want that. So if you don't want it badly enough, you don't have the internal motivation to overcome the fear of public scrutiny, to overcome the uncertainty, to do the challenging things time after time. Those are the realities. They're harsh, perhaps. But after years of watching people, including myself, do this type of thing and delay action on important goals, I found these 4 root causes to be the heart of nearly all procrastination. For a while, I was in finance. For quite a few years, I did paper trading. I was trying to learn how to day trade. And in the beginning, they suggest you should paper trade, which is really wise. You learn the ropes. It's essentially like t-ball or bumper bowling. We'll start, you get your skill going. You can't really get too hurt doing it. But eventually, we got to take the guardrails off and you got to play. I did it. I practiced and I practiced and I practiced and I practiced. And I never quite started. And instead, I stayed at a job that I didn't love, that didn't really fulfill me because it was comfortable. I didn't want to do the uncomfortable thing and take a risk and go out on my own and bet on myself and day trade my way to financial freedom because I was worried internally. Something inside said, what if it doesn't work? What are other people going to say? What is your wife going to say? What are your parents going to say? How are you going to feel? What are you going to do after that? You leave this job. So I stuck with what was comfortable, even though I didn't like it. Comfortable is sitting on a couch, and nothing good happens on a couch before 11 p.m. And sometimes after 11 p.m., depending on what you're doing on the couch. I don't want to say nothing good can ever happen on a couch. There can be, use your imagination. The science again confirms this. Research on the brain's threat response system shows that uncertainty and the potential for social rejection activates the same neural pathways as physical pain. Your brain is literally trying to protect you from the discomfort of action by keeping you in this safe planning mode. So I'm as scared to get publicly embarrassed as I am to get physically punched. That's how we're wired. And we wonder why we don't do anything. But we're not getting any younger and windows are closing. We all have these windows in our lives, periods where we have the right combination of time, energy, connections, and circumstances to make significant progress. And these windows aren't permanent. I talk to entrepreneurs in their mid-20s and they're getting ready to launch their business. And they're always getting ready to launch their business. They're never doing the thing. And I want to shake them. because I'm jealous. I'm now in my 40s, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that you'll never have more energy, fewer responsibilities, or more recovery runway than you have right now. What did he just say? The sooner you start, the more energy you have, the more time you have to recover, the more room. Start sooner. Every single day, your window in life narrows slightly. More obligations, less energy, increased financial pressure. It doesn't get easier. It gets harder. Trust me on this. Every year, I'll look back thinking, where did all the time go? It only goes by faster. I was 25 20 years ago, and I've done a lot of amazing things over the last 20 years. But I'm mind blown that age 25 was 20 years ago. I would love to have that 20 years back in my time bank. There's so much I could do with it, knowing what I know now. Yes, I utilized it, but I don't think I got 20 years of utilization out of 20. Maybe I got 10, and 10 were just drift. My goal for this video and things that I write about is to increase your waste ratio so you can get more usage out of your time, wasting less and utilizing more. None of this is meant to depress you. It's meant to spur you to do something. It's meant to create urgency. The cost of inaction, it compounds daily, just like the rewards of action. So let's go. Let's go. What are we waiting for? I'm not ready yet, Diego. There's this myth of readiness. One of the most dangerous phrases in life is, I'm not quite ready yet. Or I'm getting ready to launch. I'm getting ready to hire. I'm getting ready to scale. I'm getting ready to get married. Here's the truth. Readiness is a complete myth. It's BS. No one is ever truly ready for significant action. The people who succeed are those that act despite not feeling ready. As a man, I can tell you, I was never quite ready to get married. It was always like, I'll be ready in a few years. If my wife would have let me, that cycle would still be continuing today and we wouldn't be married. I was ready the first time she talked about it, even though I didn't think I was. When it came around to having kids, I wasn't ready yet. In hindsight, I was ready. When you start thinking about it, when it makes sense to you at your core, you're ready. If you're a little nervous or scared about it, that's just a sign that you're taking on something serious and difficult, but it's probably actually the inverse. It's probably a readiness sign, like you are ready to do this. So you're thinking about, how can I minimize the pain? How can I minimize potential catastrophe here? Which is what someone who does something as critical as having kids should be thinking about. Not just totally avoiding it. It's like, yes, let's do this, but let's think about how we can provide the best possible life for these kids when they arrive on the planet, crying and yelling and little bundles of joy that they are. So if you think, yeah, I'll be ready eventually, if you keep saying that, you never will be. The truth is, you're ready right now. Naval Ravikant, the founder of Angel List, put it bluntly. The most successful people I know started doing before they felt qualified. What does this look like in practice? Launching your product at 80%, perfect, is better than waiting for 100%. Having difficult conversation today instead of preparing for it for another week. Making the investment decision now rather than researching indefinitely. Pulling the trigger to hire instead of interviewing just a few more candidates, etc., etc. The metaphor for this is filling a glass. Take a glass out of your cupboard, go to fill it up. How quickly can you fill the glass 80% of the way full. Very quick. You put it under the faucet, you turn it on, water comes in. You don't have to worry about spilling it. You just watch the glass, full flow, 80%, turn it off, done. If you want to get that glass 100% physically full, the amount of effort in space you have to do that, to keep adding little drops of water so it can get just the perfect amount, is so hard. You'll be there forever. It's a waste of time. 80% is usually good enough, and good enough is better than never. The push versus pull test. You might not be moving ahead because the thing that you're pursuing is more of a fantasy than deeply rooted dream about your future. I alluded to this earlier. We don't really want it bad enough. Here's a simple test that I use to determine whether I'm genuinely committed to a goal. Am I being pulled toward it, or am I pushing myself towards it? When something pulls you, you find yourself working on it without having to force yourself to do it. You lose track of time. You think about it in the shower. You're excited to wake up to do it. The challenge isn't starting. It's actually stopping. When you're pushing yourself, every step feels like a battle. You need accountability, deadlines, constant motivation just to make a little bit of progress. If you're making any progress, you just don't want to do it. If you've been pushing yourself for more than a few months without gaining momentum, this thing is either not aligned with your true desires, or you haven't created enough stakes to make action necessary. How do you create stakes? Sometimes the solution isn't more motivation, it's just better stakes. Like I need to be rewarded more. If you told me I have to hike across the Grand Canyon, on the other side I get $1, I'm not too excited to do it. If I could do it for $1 million, well, hey, I'm into it. Stakes are the conditions that make inaction more painful than action. They create an environment where you must move forward. This is really like every Mr. Beast challenge video. He puts people in unique, difficult situations and offers high enough stakes that push them to their absolute limit. Do something longer, harder, get rewarded more. We see that. Effective stakes that you can impose on your own life include public commitments with specific deadlines. I'm going to put this out there and say that I'm doing it. If I don't do it, there's going to be backlash. I could put down non-refundable investments on things. I've spent the money. I better make that investment worthwhile. I could have accountability partners. We could put in place consequence systems. I can burn bridges that make retreat impossible. So back to my day trading example, I could have just quit my job. Now I have to make day trading work. I don't have a choice. I don't have the comfort of showing up. When I had the comfort of just showing up and collecting a paycheck, why take the risk? Now that I don't have that comfort anymore, I have to take the risk. When I launched the Permaculture Voices Conference, I announced the launch date long before the product was finished. The fear of public failure and large financial commitments created stakes that ensured that I followed through. Was it stressful? Absolutely. Was it effective? Without a doubt. Because if I didn't follow through, not only was I publicly kind of a joke, I was a joke, I would have lost a lot of money, like $100,000 plus. So I had to see it through. I've been the doer and the dreamer. We all know them. You've probably been both too. Look around. I guarantee you can identify the parts in your life where you were one or the other. And if you look around today, you can see the two camps in your everyday life. The doers, they launch quick, they iterate constantly, and they build momentum through action. They're not the most polished, but they're making tangible progress every day. The dreamers, they have elaborate plans. So nice, so pretty, so well thought out. Perfect presentation. The most book knowledge. And they can articulate these brilliant visions. Yet weeks and weeks and years pass, and they remain at the starting line, refining their approach. Do you know how many farm plants I've heard? A lot. Hundreds and hundreds that don't go anywhere. 10 years from now, the doers of today will own the market, while the dreamers will have exquisitely detailed plans for businesses that never existed. Which camp are you in? If you want to switch from a dreamer to a doer, here are 3 actions that you can take this week. Implement a 72-hour rule. Identify one significant goal you've been getting ready for. Commit to taking one irreversible step toward it within the next 72 hours. Not research, not planning, an actual action that changes the world of that idea. Put money down, sign the contract, publish the page, or have the conversation. If you don't do it, move on because you're not motivated enough. 2, create an accountability contract. Find someone who will hold you accountable to your commitments without accepting your lame excuses or your sorry, sad face. Create a formal agreement with significant stakes for non-action. Good stakes involve either financial penalties or social consequences that you generally want to avoid. You try and find something that's going to motivate you. If I don't do this, then this happens. And ideally, you don't want the result to happen because it's bad enough. Number 3, conduct a knowledge audit. Make a list of everything you've learned about your business or goal for the last 6 months. For each item, ask, have I implemented this knowledge in any way? If the answer is no for more than 20% of the items, implement a knowledge freeze. No more books, courses, or research until you have applied what you already know. Stop learning. That should be a whole nother letter for a future day, a reminder to self. We overlearn. We learn too much. Learn as you go, learn as you need. Too much learning up front is an excuse and avoidance of actual progress. So don't do that. Remember, the world doesn't reward those who know the most stuff. It rewards those who convert the knowledge into action most consistently. The fire of execution is what makes that steak good, not the smoke of preparation. It's what ultimately creates that success. All the smoke isn't going to cook the steak. Forget about smoking for a minute. The fire is what gets it cooked. Lose the smoke, bring the fire, get it done, and think about what you can do to convert those dreams into a reality. If you enjoyed this one, let me know in the comments below. If you want to subscribe to my newsletter, it's free. Seeding Thoughts, where I write about this type of thing. You can find a link in the description. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And until next time, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.